Have you ever felt like the universe was trying to tell you something? Like there was a message written in the stars, whispered through the wind, delivered through the most unexpected circumstances? Right now, in this very moment, you are exactly where you need to be. This is not a coincidence. The angels have been working overtime to get this message to you, and tomorrow, Sunday the 27th, everything changes. I'm not speaking in metaphors or spiritual platitudes. I'm talking about a genuine shift that's about to occur in your life, and God Himself pressed upon my heart to make sure you heard this warning before it happens. Welcome to Sacred Echoes, where divine messages meet desperate hearts. If you're new here, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications because the messages we share here are not random YouTube content. These are heaven-sent revelations that could alter the trajectory of your entire existence. The angels don't speak to waste time. They speak when action is required. Before we go any further, I need you to do something. Type in the comments right now, I receive. Just those two words. I receive. This is your spiritual agreement with heaven that you are open to what God is about to do in your life. This isn't superstition. This is you activating your faith and declaring to the spiritual realm that you are ready. The angels are watching, and your declaration matters more than you know. So pause right now and type I receive in the comments. Now let me tell you why tomorrow is unlike any other Sunday you've experienced. 4 weeks now, the spiritual realm has been in preparation mode. If you've been feeling restless, if sleep has been difficult, if you've sensed an unexplainable anticipation building in your chest, that's not anxiety. That's your spirit recognizing that something massive is approaching. The angels have been clearing pathways, removing obstacles, and positioning people and opportunities in places you cannot yet see. Tomorrow, Sunday the 27th, is when the veil becomes thin and what has been prepared in the invisible realm starts manifesting in your visible reality. God showed me something powerful in prayer 3 days ago. I saw doors that had been bolted shut for years suddenly swinging open with such force that the sound echoed through spiritual dimensions. I saw chains that had wrapped around destinies for generations suddenly shattering into dust. I saw names written in a book, and I knew without question that those names represented people who would experience breakthrough on this specific day. I don't know if your name was in that book, but if you're hearing this message right now, there's a reason. The algorithm didn't bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. Let me take you to Proverbs 18 verse 12, which tells us, "Before destruction the heart of man is haughty, but humility comes before honor." This verse holds a key for tomorrow. Many of you have been humbled recently. You've been brought low, not as punishment, but as preparation. You've had to surrender things you thought you needed. You've had to release people you thought you couldn't live without. You've had to let go of versions of yourself that no longer serve your purpose. That humbling was necessary because the honor that's coming tomorrow requires a different version of you. You cannot carry old pride into new dimensions. The angels have been training you, and tomorrow is graduation day. Here's what most people don't understand about divine timing. We think we're waiting on God, but the truth is, God has been waiting on us. He's been waiting for us to become empty enough to be filled. He's been waiting for us to become broken enough to be rebuilt correctly. He's been waiting for us to stop trying to force doors open with our own strength and instead wait for Him to blow them off the hinges. Tomorrow represents the convergence of divine timing and human readiness. Your preparation period is ending. Your performance season is beginning. Second, forgive someone today. I know that sounds random, but hear me. Unforgiveness is a spiritual blockage. It's like trying to receive fresh water through a clogged pipe. The blessing will come, but it can't flow through properly if you're harboring bitterness, resentment, or grudges. The angels cannot deliver certain blessings into hands that are clenched in anger. You've got to open your hands, release what you're holding onto, and make room for what God is trying to give you. Mark 11 verse 25 says, "And whenever you stand praying, forgive, if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses." Forgiveness isn't just good advice. It's a spiritual requirement for breakthrough. Third, give something away today. This might sound counterintuitive, especially if you're in a season of lack. But here's a spiritual principle that never fails. What you make room for, God will fill. If you're clutching everything tightly, afraid to let anything go, you're signaling to heaven that you operate from a mindset of scarcity. But when you give, even when it doesn't make logical sense, you're declaring that you serve a God of abundance. You're telling the universe that you trust the source more than you trust your resources. Luke 6 verse 38 promises, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap." For with the measure you use it will be measured back to you. Give today. Watch what God gives you tomorrow. Here's something the angels revealed to me that absolutely shocked me. Many of you have been praying the same prayer for years. You've asked God for the same thing repeatedly, and you've started to wonder if He's even listening. What the angels showed me is that God hasn't been ignoring your prayer. He's been upgrading it. What you asked for 3 years ago is not what you actually need today. You've grown. Your capacity has increased. Your purpose has expanded. If God had given you what you asked for back then, it would be too small for who you are now. Tomorrow's shock isn't just that your prayer is being answered. It's that the answer is bigger than what you asked for. Think about the story in 2 Kings 4, where Elisha asks the widow, "What do you have in your house?" She says she has nothing except a jar of oil. Elisha tells her to gather empty vessels and pour the oil, and it multiplies miraculously until every vessel is filled. The miracle didn't create something from nothing. The miracle multiplied what was already there. Tomorrow, God is going to take the little you have, the small seed of faith, the tiny remnant of hope, and is going to multiply it beyond your comprehension. But notice in the story that the oil didn't multiply until she started pouring. Your faith activation tomorrow will require action. The shock comes when you step out in obedience. Romans 8 verse 28 assures us, "And we know that for those who love God all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose." All things. Not just the good things. Not just the easy things. Even the betrayals, the losses, the disappointments, the delays, all of it has been working together. Tomorrow is when you see the tapestry instead of just the threads. Tomorrow is when the puzzle pieces that made no sense suddenly form a picture so beautiful it takes your breath away. Some of you are skeptical right now. You're thinking, "I've heard this before. People are always saying something big is about to happen, and then nothing changes." I understand that doubt. Disappointment is a heavy teacher. But here's what I want you to consider. What if your doubt is the very thing that has delayed your breakthrough until now? What if the angels have been waiting for you to believe before they could move? Hebrews 11 verse 6 is clear. "And without faith it is impossible to please Him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who seek Him." The reward exists, but faith is the bridge that connects you to it. I'm going to tell you something that might be hard to hear, but it's true. Some of you have become comfortable in your struggle. The pain has become familiar. The lack has become your identity. The wilderness has become home. And subconsciously, you're terrified of change, even good change, because change means leaving behind what's known and stepping into what's unknown. The angels have been trying to prepare you, but you keep pulling back. Tomorrow is different because tomorrow, the grace is so strong that even your fear can't stop what God is doing. You're going to be shocked because the breakthrough happens even though you're still slightly skeptical. That's how you'll know it was God and not your own manifestation. Let me address something specific for those of you who feel like you're too old, too damaged, too far behind. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." Notice it doesn't say there's only one season. It doesn't say if you miss your moment, it's over. There are multiple seasons, multiple opportunities, multiple chances. Tomorrow is the beginning of a new season, and this one is custom designed for exactly who you are right now, not who you were 10 years ago. Your age is not a limitation. Your past is not a disqualification. The angels don't look at your resume. They look at your heart. Psalm 126 verses 5 to 6 declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. He who goes out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, bringing his sheaves with him." You've been sowing in tears. You've been planting seeds while crying, working while hurting, believing while bleeding. Tomorrow is harvest day. Tomorrow you come home with the sheaves. The shouts of joy are coming, and they're going to be so loud that everyone around you will hear them. I need to continue this message because there's more the angels want you to know, so stay with me. Don't click away. Your breakthrough is in the details I'm about to share. But before I continue, make sure you've subscribed to Sacred Echoes and turned on those notifications. These messages are time sensitive, and you don't want to miss what heaven is saying in this critical season. Tomorrow, Sunday the 27th, is going to shock you because Tomorrow, Sunday the 27th, is going to shock you because it's the day when spiritual debts are cancelled. Let me explain what I mean by that. Throughout your life, you've accumulated spiritual credits through your faithfulness, your prayers, your obedience in the dark when nobody was watching, your worship through the pain, your giving when you had barely enough for yourself. Every single act of faith, every moment you chose God over convenience, Every time you forgave when you had every right to hold a grudge, all of it has been recorded in heaven's ledgers. The angels keep meticulous records. Nothing you've done in faith has been wasted or forgotten. Tomorrow is the day when those spiritual credits mature, when the compound interest of your faithfulness reaches its breaking point, and heaven has no choice but to release what's been accumulating in your name. Galatians 6 verse 9 tells us, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." Due season. That's tomorrow. You've been doing good when it seemed pointless. You've been faithful when you saw no evidence that it mattered. You've been sowing when you couldn't see any potential for harvest. But the angels have been watching, counting, measuring, and tomorrow they've been authorized to make the withdrawal from your spiritual account. Everything you've deposited through prayer, fasting, worship, obedience, and faith is about to be released back to you with supernatural multiplication. Here's what many people misunderstand about spiritual timing. We think it's arbitrary, that God just randomly decides when to bless us. But it's actually scientific in the spiritual realm. There are laws that govern the unseen world just as there are laws that govern the physical world. Gravity isn't a suggestion, it's a law. In the same way, seed time and harvest isn't a nice idea, it's a spiritual law. Genesis 8 verse 22 promises, "While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, shall not cease." You've been in seed time. Tomorrow marks the transition to harvest. The angels don't violate spiritual laws. They enforce them. And the law of harvest says it's your turn. Some of you are going to be shocked tomorrow because you're going to receive something you stopped praying for. You gave up on it. You released it. You told God you were okay if it never happened. And that's precisely when heaven moves. When you finally surrender the outcome, when you stop trying to manipulate the timeline, when you genuinely reach a place of peace without the thing you wanted, that's when the thing shows up. It's not cruelty. It's divine strategy. God had to get you to a place where you wanted Him more than you wanted His gifts. He had to cultivate in you a character that could handle the blessing without it destroying you. Your surrender wasn't a loss. It was the final qualification you needed. Let me tell you about a spiritual principle that's about to manifest powerfully tomorrow. It's called the principle of suddenly. Throughout the Bible, we see this pattern. Things move slowly for extended periods, and then suddenly everything changes. Abraham and Sarah waited 25 years, and then suddenly Isaac was born. Joseph was in prison for years with no movement, no progress, no indication that his dreams would ever come true, and then suddenly he went from prisoner to prime minister in a single day. The Israelites were enslaved for 400 years, and then suddenly Moses showed up and within months they were free. Your suddenly is tomorrow. Acts 2 verse 2 describes the day of Pentecost, and suddenly there came from heaven a sound like a mighty rushing wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting. Suddenly. That's the word the angels keep emphasizing. You've been sitting, waiting, hoping, believing, and tomorrow, suddenly, heaven breaks open over your life. Suddenly the phone rings with the opportunity. Suddenly the test results come back different than expected. Suddenly the relationship shifts. Suddenly the money appears. Suddenly the door opens. Suddenly the answer comes. It won't be gradual. It won't be progressive. It will be sudden, shocking, undeniable. Now I want to address those of you who've been under spiritual attack. You know who you are. The enemy has been relentless. The warfare has been intense. You've been battling things in the spiritual realm that you couldn't even explain to people because it would sound crazy. You felt targeted, opposed, blocked at every turn. Here's what the angels want you to know. The intensity of the attack was directly proportional to the magnitude of the blessing that's coming. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people who don't pose a threat to his kingdom. He doesn't bother attacking destinies that don't matter. The fact that you've been through hell is actually evidence that you're about to walk into heaven's plan for your life. Tomorrow, the attack ends and the advancement begins. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." You've been wrestling with things that other people couldn't see. You've been fighting battles that you couldn't describe. But tomorrow, the angels take over the fight. You've fought long enough. You've stood your ground. You've held the line. Now heaven's armies are stepping in to finish what you started. The shock tomorrow isn't just that you win. It's how decisively you win. It's how completely the enemy's plans unravel. It's how thoroughly God vindicates you. I want you to understand something about angelic activity. Angels respond to faith declarations. They are activated by your words of agreement with heaven. That's why I asked you to type "I receive" in the comments earlier. It wasn't a manipulative tactic to boost engagement. It was a strategic spiritual act. When you declare something in faith, you give angels legal jurisdiction to move on your behalf. They can't violate your free will, but when you align your will with God's will through declarations, you authorize them to intervene. Tomorrow's shock is partially dependent on today's declaration. So if you haven't already, go down to the comments right now and type "I receive." Your participation matters. Let's talk about divine alignment. You know how sometimes everything just flows, doors open effortlessly, people show up at the right time, resources appear when you need them, and it all feels orchestrated? That's alignment. You've been out of alignment for a while, through no fault of your own. Sometimes God allows misalignment to reposition you, to redirect you, to protect you from paths that looked good but would have led to destruction. Tomorrow is when you snap back into alignment with such force that you'll feel the shift physically. You'll wake up feeling different. The heaviness will be gone. The confusion will lift. The fog will clear. And everything you touch will suddenly work. Philippians 1 verse 6 gives us this confidence, "And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." God doesn't start things he doesn't finish. If he began something in your life, if he planted a dream, if he gave you a vision, if he spoke a promise, he will complete it. The process has been longer than you expected. The journey has been harder than you imagined. But tomorrow represents a completion. Not the completion of everything, but the completion of this particular chapter, this specific season. What God started years ago, His finishing tomorrow. Some of you are going to be shocked by who God uses to bless you tomorrow. It's not going to be the person you expected. It's not going to be the source you anticipated. God is going to use someone you never saw coming, someone who maybe even opposed you in the past, someone who wasn't on your radar. Proverbs 16 verse 7 says, "When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him." Your enemies are about to become your allies. Your critics are about to become your advocates. People who wanted to see you fail are about to witness your success and have no choice but to acknowledge that God is with you. Here's a specific word for those of you in business or entrepreneurship. Tomorrow marks a shift in your financial anointing. You've been grinding, working hard, planting seeds, but the harvest has been minimal. You've been faithful with little, and tomorrow you're being trusted with much. The idea that's about to drop into your spirit, the connection that's about to be made, the opportunity that's about to present itself, it's all divinely orchestrated. Matthew 25 verse 23 promises, "His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master.'" You're entering into joy tomorrow. Business joy. Financial joy. The joy of seeing your faithfulness rewarded. For those in ministry or called to spiritual leadership, tomorrow is your commissioning day. You've been in preparation, in the wilderness, in the training ground. You've questioned the call. You've wondered if you heard God correctly. You've felt unqualified, inadequate, unprepared. But Jeremiah 1 verse 5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you, and before you were born I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations." Before you were born, the appointment was made. Tomorrow is when you step into that appointment with clarity, confidence, and divine backing. The angels are going to connect you with the people you're called to serve, and the confirmation will be undeniable. Now let me address the parents watching this. Some of you have been warring in prayer for your children. You've been standing in the gap, believing for their salvation, their deliverance, their return home. You've cried more tears than you can count. You've felt helpless, watching them make choices that break your heart. Tomorrow, something shifts in the spiritual realm over your children. I'm not saying they'll be completely transformed overnight, but I am saying that a seed gets planted, a conversation happens, an encounter occurs that begins the turning. Joel 2 verse 25 promises, "I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten." The restoration begins tomorrow, and it starts with your children. I'm seeing something in the spirit right now for educators, teachers, and those working with young people. You've felt unappreciated, underpaid, undervalued. You've poured yourself into students, into programs, into initiatives, and you've seen minimal fruit. You've questioned whether you're in the right field, whether you should just quit and do something else. Tomorrow, you're going to see the impact of your labor. It might be a student who reaches out to thank you. It might be an opportunity that recognizes your gift. It might be a parent who finally sees what you've been doing. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 58 encourages, "Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain." Your labor has not been in vain. Tomorrow you get tangible proof. For those in creative fields, artists, musicians, writers, content creators, tomorrow is a breakthrough day. You've been creating in obscurity, pouring your heart into your work with minimal recognition, wondering if anyone even cares. The algorithm hasn't favored you. The opportunities haven't come. The big break has eluded you. But Colossians 3 verse 23 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men." You've been working for an audience of one, and that one is about to showcase your work to the many. Tomorrow, your content reaches someone influential. Tomorrow, your art catches the right eye. Tomorrow, your music touches the right heart. The exposure you've been praying for begins tomorrow. Let me speak prophetically for a moment because the Spirit is highlighting something specific. There are people watching this who've been dealing with addiction. Maybe it's substances, maybe it's pornography, maybe it's gambling, maybe it's food, maybe it's something else entirely. You've tried to quit. You've made promises to God and broken them. You felt like a failure, like you're beyond help, like you'll never be free. Tomorrow is your deliverance day. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13 assures you, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man." God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with the temptation He will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. The way of escape opens tomorrow. It might be a program you discover. It might be a person who reaches out. It might be a supernatural lifting of the compulsion. But freedom is coming, and it's coming tomorrow. I need to address something that some of you are feeling right now as you watch this. You're feeling unworthy. You're thinking, "This message is for other people, not me. I've messed up too bad. I've sinned too much. I've walked away from God too many times. He's done with me." Let me obliterate that lie with the truth of Romans 8 verse 1. "There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." No condemnation. Not some condemnation. Not conditional condemnation. No condemnation. If you're in Christ, if you've accepted His sacrifice, if you believe in His resurrection, then you are qualified for everything heaven has for you. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Your failures don't eliminate you. Your mistakes don't cancel you. Tomorrow's shock is going to include the revelation of just how loved you are, just how accepted you are, just how valuable you are to the Father. There's something about the corporate nature of this message that's important. You're not watching this alone. Thousands of people are receiving this same word, and there's power in corporate faith. When believers come into agreement, when we align our faith together, we create a spiritual atmosphere that accelerates breakthrough. Matthew 18 verse 20 tells us, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them." We're gathered right now, digitally but genuinely, and Jesus is in our midst. The angels are moving among us. The Holy Spirit is activating faith in each person who's truly hearing this message. Tomorrow's shock isn't just individual. It's corporate. It's a generation receiving what's been promised. I want to share something the Holy Spirit revealed to me during prayer about the nature of the shock that's coming tomorrow. Many of you have been praying for one thing, believing God for one specific outcome, and you've been so focused on that one thing that you've missed the fact that God has been orchestrating something far greater. You've been asking for a cup of water, and He's been preparing a river. You've been asking for a job, and He's been preparing a career. You've been asking for a house, and He's been preparing generational wealth. The shock tomorrow is that what God delivers exceeds what you requested. Ephesians 3 verse 20 declares, "Now to Him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us." Far more abundantly. Not just what you asked for. Not just a little more than you imagined. Far more abundantly beyond your highest expectations. Let me tell you what I saw in a vision last week that relates directly to tomorrow. I saw people standing in a valley, surrounded by mountains on every side. They'd been in this valley for so long that they'd forgotten what the view looked like from the mountaintop. They'd adjusted to valley life, accepted it as permanent, made peace with limitation. Then suddenly, the ground beneath them began to rise. Not the mountains coming down, but the valley floor itself lifting up. They weren't climbing anymore. They were being elevated. By the time the vision ended, the valley floor had risen to become level with the mountaintops, and they could see for miles in every direction. That's what tomorrow represents. You're not climbing out of your situation through your own effort. God is lifting the floor beneath your feet. The elevation is supernatural, sudden, and shocking. There are people watching this who work in healthcare, nursing, medical fields, first responders. You've been exhausted, burned out, running on empty. The pandemic years drained you. The constant demand has depleted you. You've given and given until you have nothing left, and you've wondered how much longer you can sustain this pace. Tomorrow marks a grace renewal. Supernatural strength floods your body. Isaiah 40 verse 31 promises, "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." You've been waiting, and tomorrow the renewal comes. You're going to feel it physically. The exhaustion lifts. The joy returns. The passion for your calling reignites. Now I need to address those in ministry leadership, pastors, church planters, missionaries. You've been carrying heavy loads, dealing with difficult people, navigating criticism, managing limited resources, and questioning whether you're making any real difference. You felt invisible, underappreciated, and deeply tired in your soul. Tomorrow, God reminds you why He called you. You're going to see fruit that's been growing underground suddenly break through the surface. You're going to receive confirmation that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. 2 Corinthians 4 verses 8 to 9 describes your experience. "We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." Tomorrow, the pressure releases. The confusion clears. The sense of being forsaken vanishes. You stand back up with renewed conviction. Let me speak to something very tender, very painful for many of you. Miscarriage, infant loss, the death of a child. You've carried grief that most people can't comprehend. You've smiled in public while dying inside. You've heard well-meaning platitudes that only deepened the wound. You've questioned God, wrestled with faith, wondered how a good God allows such heartbreak. I cannot promise that tomorrow brings your child back. That's not how physical death works. But I can tell you that tomorrow brings a healing touch to that place of grief that's been untouchable until now. Revelation 21 verse 4 promises, "He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more, neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away." Tomorrow doesn't erase your loss, but it begins a new chapter where joy and sorrow can coexist, where you can honor their memory while still embracing life again. For those dealing with estranged family members, children who won't speak to you, parents you've cut off, siblings you're at war with, tomorrow is a reconciliation day. The enemy has used family division to torment you, to steal your peace, to convince you that restoration is impossible. But Luke 1 verse 37 reminds us, "For nothing will be impossible with God." Tomorrow, a phone call happens. Tomorrow, a message is sent. Tomorrow, a heart softens. Maybe it's your heart. Maybe it's theirs. Maybe it's both. But the ice begins to thaw, and what seemed permanently broken shows the first signs of healing. I want to address something practical that affects many of you, your living situation. Some of you are in housing that's inadequate, unsafe, temporary, or simply not where you're supposed to be. You've been looking, searching, praying, but nothing has worked out. The rent is too high. The mortgage won't approve. The right place hasn't appeared. Tomorrow, the housing door opens. This might sound specific, but I'm telling you what the angels are showing me. Someone watching this is about to receive keys to a new place, and it's going to happen in a way that bypasses normal procedures. Psalm 127 verse 1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain." The Lord is building your house, and tomorrow is when you see the blueprint come to life. There's a word here for those in technology, software development, engineering fields. You've had an idea, a concept, an innovation that you've been developing, and it's felt like you're ahead of your time, like the world isn't ready for what you're creating. Tomorrow, the world catches up. Tomorrow, the market shifts. Tomorrow, the right investor sees what you've built. Tomorrow, the connection is made that takes your idea from concept to reality. Proverbs 16 verse 3 instructs, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." You've committed your work, and tomorrow your plans get established in tangible, undeniable ways. Let me speak prophetically to those in government positions, law enforcement, military service, public administration. You've felt the weight of responsibility, the burden of making decisions that affect people's lives, the pressure of scrutiny and criticism. You've tried to do what's right and been attacked for it. You've attempted to serve with integrity in systems that often reward compromise. Tomorrow, your integrity gets vindicated. Someone in authority notices. A decision you made that seemed costly at the time proves to have been exactly right. A stand you took that isolated you suddenly makes you the person everyone needs. Proverbs 29 verse 2 says, "When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan." Your righteousness is about to cause rejoicing. Now before we go any further, if this message is resonating with you, if you're feeling the confirmation in your spirit that this word is for you, I need you to do two things right now. First, hit that like button so this message can reach more people who need to hear it. Second, make sure you're subscribed to Sacred Echoes with notifications turned on, because the messages coming in the next few weeks are going to build on tomorrow's breakthrough. You don't want to miss what heaven is saying in this season. Let me address something that might seem small but isn't. Some of you have been believing for physical healing in specific areas. Not life-threatening illnesses necessarily, but chronic conditions that drain your quality of life. Back pain that never fully goes away. Migraines that disrupt your routine. Digestive issues that limit what you can eat. Sleep disorders that leave you exhausted. Joint pain that restricts your movement. Tomorrow, pay attention to your body. Test the area that's been problematic. Move in ways you couldn't move before. Try things you've avoided because of pain. James 5 verse 15 promises, "And the prayer of faith will save the one who is sick, and the Lord will raise him up." The prayer of faith has been prayed. Tomorrow is the raising up. I need to speak to those who've experienced betrayal, deep wounding from people you trusted. Maybe it was a business partner who stole from you. Maybe it was a friend who spread lies about you. Maybe it was a mentor who took advantage of you. The betrayal has left you unable to trust, unable to open up, unable to believe in people again. Tomorrow begins the healing of your ability to trust. God isn't bringing the betrayer back. He's bringing safe people forward. Psalm 41 verse 9 acknowledges, "Even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me." Jesus experienced betrayal. He understands your pain. And tomorrow, he introduces you to people who won't betray, people who will prove trustworthy, people who will restore your faith in genuine relationship. There's something I need to say about the spiritual warfare that some of you are going to experience between now and tomorrow morning. When heaven declares a breakthrough, hell responds with a last-ditch attack. You might feel overwhelming anxiety tonight. You might have nightmares. You might face unexpected conflict with people close to you. You might experience physical symptoms that make you doubt. Don't be surprised by this. Don't interpret it as a sign that this message was wrong. Interpret it correctly as confirmation that the enemy knows what's coming tomorrow and is trying to discourage you before you receive it. 1 Peter 5 verse 8 warns, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." He's roaring loud right now because he's about to lose ground in your life. Stand firm tonight. Speak the word over yourself. Remind yourself that this message wasn't random. You're going to make it to tomorrow. Let me give you specific instructions for tonight, for the hours between now and tomorrow. First, eliminate negative inputs. Don't watch disturbing content. Don't engage in arguments on social media. Don't rehearse past hurts. Guard your atmosphere. Second, speak declarations out loud before you sleep. Declare that you will wake up to breakthrough. Declare that tomorrow belongs to God. Declare that every plan of the enemy against your life is cancelled. Third, expect significant dreams tonight. God often downloads instruction and encouragement through dreams on the eve of breakthrough. Keep a notepad by your bed. If you wake up with a dream, write it down immediately. It might contain the specific direction you need for tomorrow. I want to talk about something that's going to shock many of you tomorrow, and that's the restoration of relationships you thought were permanently dead. I'm not just talking about reconciliation that you've been praying for. I'm talking about relationships you gave up on, people you released, connections you assumed would never be restored. The angels have been working behind the scenes in the hearts of these individuals. They've been softening attitudes, changing perspectives, removing the blinders that kept them from seeing their part in the breakdown. Tomorrow, you're going to hear from someone you never expected to hear from again. It might be an apology. It might be an explanation. It might be a request to start over. Whatever form it takes, it's going to shock you because you'd already grieved this relationship and moved on. But Ezekiel 37 verse 5 speaks to dead things. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, "Behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live." Breath is entering dead relationships tomorrow. What was nothing but dry bones is about to stand up and live again. For those of you in sales, business development, or any commission-based work, tomorrow marks a shift in your favor. You've been working leads that go nowhere, chasing deals that fall through at the last minute, investing time and energy with minimal return. You've questioned your ability, your approach, your future in this field. Tomorrow, a deal closes that you'd written off. Tomorrow, a client says yes who you expected to say no. Tomorrow, a referral comes from an unexpected source. Deuteronomy 28 verse 8 promises, "The Lord will command the blessing on you in your barns and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." Your barn has been empty. Tomorrow, the blessing is commanded into it. Let me address something very specific that the Holy Spirit is highlighting. There are people watching this who've been struggling with their identity, particularly those who've gone through major life transitions. Maybe you retired and lost your sense of purpose. Maybe you became an empty nester and don't know who you are without children to raise. Maybe you went through a divorce and your identity was so wrapped up in being someone's spouse that you feel lost. Maybe you left a career that defined you and now you're adrift. Tomorrow is an identity re-establishment day. God is going to remind you who you were before the role, before the title, before the relationship. He's going to show you the core of who He created you to be, stripped of all the external identifiers. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 17 declares, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come." Tomorrow, you see yourself as a new creation, not defined by what you lost but by who God says you are. I need to speak to those who work in hospitality, service industries, retail, anyone who deals directly with the public. You've been disrespected, treated as less than, spoken to rudely, and it's worn you down. You've started to believe that your work doesn't matter, that you're just a cog in a machine, easily replaceable and ultimately insignificant. Tomorrow, someone treats you with dignity that restores your sense of worth. Tomorrow, you serve someone who actually sees you, acknowledges you, values you. It might seem small, but it's not. God sees your service. Colossians 3 verse 24 reminds you, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. Tomorrow, you feel the weight of that truth. You're not serving ungrateful customers. You're serving Jesus, and He's about to reward you in ways that go beyond tips and wages. There's a prophetic word here about generational curses being broken tomorrow. Some of you come from family lines marked by poverty, addiction, divorce, mental illness, premature death, or other destructive patterns. You've seen it repeat generation after generation, and you've lived in fear that you can't escape it, that you're destined to repeat the cycle. Tomorrow is the day the cycle breaks. You are the generation that says no more. You are the one who stands in the gap and declares that the curse stops here. Galatians 3 verse 13 proclaims, "Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us, for it is written, 'Cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree.'" Jesus already became the curse so you don't have to carry it. Tomorrow, you walk in the full reality of that redemption. The chains that bound your ancestors fall off your wrists. The ceiling that limited them shatters over your head. You step into freedom that changes not just your life but the lives of every descendant who comes after you. Let me talk about divine appointments that are set for tomorrow. You're going to be in a specific place at a specific time, and it's going to feel coincidental, random, just the way things worked out. But it's not random. The angels have been coordinating schedules, arranging circumstances, moving pieces on the chessboard to get you and another person in the same space at the same moment. This person carries something you need. It might be information. It might be an opportunity. It might be a word of encouragement. It might be a romantic connection. It might be a business partnership. Whatever it is, pay attention tomorrow to unexpected encounters. Don't dismiss anyone as unimportant. Don't rush through conversations. God is orchestrating divine appointments, and if you're distracted or hurried, you might miss the very person heaven sent. I want to address those dealing with prodigal children, adult children who've walked away from faith, from family, from everything you taught them. You've been praying for years with no visible results. You've watched them make destructive choices and felt powerless to intervene. You've cried prayers that seem to bounce off the ceiling. Tomorrow, something shifts in the spiritual realm over your prodigal. I'm not promising they come home tomorrow. The journey back often takes time. But tomorrow, a seed of conviction gets planted. Tomorrow, they have an encounter they can't explain away. Tomorrow, they feel a pull toward home that they haven't felt in years. Luke 15 verse 20 describes the father of the prodigal. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. Your Father in heaven is watching for your child. He sees them while they're still a long way off. And tomorrow, the journey home begins. For those in academic environments, whether you're a student or a professor, tomorrow brings a breakthrough in your educational journey. Students, that concept you've been struggling to understand suddenly clicks. That paper you've been stressing over flows effortlessly. That exam you're worried about becomes easier than you expected. Professors and educators, that research finds the missing piece. That grant application gets approval. That book project gains momentum. Proverbs 2 verse 6 assures us, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Tomorrow, wisdom flows from heaven directly into your mind. The understanding you've been striving for is given as a gift. Let me speak to those of you who work in social services, counseling, therapy, or any field where you carry the burdens of others. You've been absorbing trauma, holding space for pain, carrying weights that aren't yours to carry, and it's been depleting you spiritually and emotionally. You've developed compassion fatigue. You've started to numb out because feeling everything was too overwhelming. You've questioned whether you can continue in this work. Tomorrow brings a supernatural boundary establishment. God is going to show you how to carry compassion without carrying the weight. He's going to teach you the difference between empathy and enmeshment. Matthew 11 verses 28 to 30 offers this invitation. "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Tomorrow, you learn to exchange their burdens for his yoke. You discover that you can care deeply without being crushed by what you carry. There's something significant happening tomorrow for those in transitional housing, shelters, or unstable living situations. You've been displaced, uncertain, without a place to truly call home. The instability has affected every area of your life. You can't plan ahead because you don't know where you'll be. You can't rest because you don't feel safe. Tomorrow, a door opens toward stability. It might not be the final answer, but it's a significant step in the right direction. It's confirmation that God hasn't forgotten you, that he sees your situation, that he's working on your behalf. Psalm 68 verse 6 declares, "God settles the solitary in a home, he leads out the prisoners to prosperity, but the rebellious dwell in a parched land." You've been solitary. Tomorrow begins your settling into home. I need to address something about workplace injustice that many of you have been enduring. You've been overlooked for promotions you deserved. You've watched less qualified people advance while you remain stuck. You've been the victim of discrimination, whether based on age, race, gender, or something else entirely. You've tried to advocate for yourself and been ignored or punished for speaking up. Tomorrow, justice comes. Someone in authority finally sees what's been happening. Documentation you thought was lost resurfaces. A witness comes forward. A policy changes. However it happens, the scales begin to balance. Proverbs 11 verse 1 says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." God delights in justice, and tomorrow he delivers it in your workplace situation. Let me speak prophetically about inheritances and family assets that have been tied up in legal complications, contested wills, or family disputes. Some of you have been waiting years for resolution, watching family members fight over money or property, caught in the middle of toxic dynamics. Tomorrow marks movement in these stuck situations. A settlement is reached. A compromise is agreed upon. A judge makes a ruling. Whatever was frozen begins to thaw. And here's what's important, even if you don't receive what you thought you should, God is going to give you peace about it. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't getting what we think we deserve. Sometimes it's being released from caring about it anymore. For those of you who have been cyber-attacked, had your identity stolen, dealt with fraud, or experienced financial theft, tomorrow brings resolution. You felt violated, vulnerable, and frustrated by systems that seem designed to protect criminals rather than victims. You've spent hours on phone calls getting nowhere. You've filed reports that disappeared into bureaucratic black holes. Tomorrow, someone actually helps you. Tomorrow, the money gets returned. Tomorrow, the account gets restored. Tomorrow, justice catches up with the perpetrator. Proverbs 6 verse 31 says, "But if he is caught, he must pay sevenfold, he must give all the goods of his house." What was stolen is being restored, and not just one-to-one. Sevenfold restoration is coming. I want to talk about something many of you have been experiencing, spiritual attacks specifically targeting your mind. Intrusive thoughts that don't sound like you. Compulsive patterns of thinking that you can't seem to break. Mental loops that keep you trapped in anxiety, fear, or despair. You've tried to renew your mind, but the thoughts keep coming back stronger. Tomorrow, the stronghold breaks. 2 Corinthians 10 verses 4 to 5 tells us, "For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh but have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ." Tomorrow, you experience the reality of this verse, not just the theory. The thoughts that have tormented you lose their power. The mental prison unlocks. Your mind becomes your own again. Let me address those who work night shifts, irregular hours, or schedules that isolate you from normal social rhythms. You felt disconnected, out of sync with the rest of the world, unable to participate in community because when you're awake, everyone else is asleep. You've struggled to maintain relationships, attend church, or engage in activities that require daytime availability. Tomorrow brings an unexpected shift opportunity, either in your schedule or in your ability to create community within your current reality. God sees your sacrifice. He sees what you've given up to work the hours you work. 1 Thessalonians 2 verse 9 acknowledges, "For you remember, brothers, our labor and toil, we worked night and day, that we might not be a burden to any of you, while we proclaim to you the gospel of God." Your night and day labor is seen, valued, and about to be rewarded. There's a word here for those dealing with chronic pain conditions like fibromyalgia, arthritis, nerve damage, or other issues that medical science can manage but not cure. You've learned to function through pain. You've developed a high tolerance for discomfort. You've stopped talking about it because people don't understand, and you're tired of being seen as complaining. Tomorrow, pay attention to your pain levels. Test your range of motion. Notice if something feels different. God is touching bodies tomorrow in ways that medical explanations can't account for. Job 33 verse 25 speaks of restoration. "Let his flesh become fresh with youth, let him return to the days of his youthful vigor." Your body is going to remember what it felt like before the pain became your constant companion. I need to speak to those who've been cancelled, publicly shamed, or had your reputation destroyed on social media or in your community. You've been the subject of rumors, accusations, or campaigns designed to ruin you. Whether the attacks were deserved or not, you've experienced the modern version of being stoned in the public square. You've lost opportunities, relationships, and standing because of what was said about you. Tomorrow begins your vindication. The truth starts to emerge. People who believed the lies begin to question them. Your character speaks louder than the accusations. Psalm 37 verses 5 to 6 promises, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday." Your righteousness is about to shine so bright that the lies can't survive in its presence. Let me talk about adoptions, foster care situations, or custody arrangements that have been complicated, delayed, or seemingly impossible. You've been waiting for approvals, dealing with bureaucracy, navigating systems that move at glacial pace. You've bonded with a child only to face the possibility of them being removed. You've opened your heart and home while living in uncertainty. Tomorrow, something moves forward. A caseworker makes a call. A judge signs paperwork. A biological parent makes a decision. Whatever the mechanism, progress happens. Psalm 113 verse 9 declares, "He gives the barren woman a home, making her the joyous mother of children." Tomorrow, joy begins to overtake uncertainty. For those in military families dealing with deployments, separations, or the constant upheaval of moving, tomorrow brings a reunion or a communication breakthrough. You've been strong for so long, holding everything together, being both parents, managing alone. You've dealt with fear, loneliness, and the weight of uncertainty. Tomorrow, you hear the voice you've been longing to hear. Tomorrow, you get news of a return date. Tomorrow, you receive confirmation that they are safe. Psalm 121 verses 7 to 8 assures, "The Lord will keep you from all evil, He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore." That keeping extends to your loved one, and tomorrow you feel the peace of that promise. I want to address something about ministry burnout that many leaders are experiencing. You've given everything to the people you serve. You've poured out continuously with limited refilling. You've dealt with criticism, conflict, and ingratitude until you're ready to walk away from ministry entirely. You've lost the joy that initially fueled your calling. Tomorrow, God refills your cup. He reminds you why He called you. He gives you a glimpse of fruit you didn't know existed. Someone shares how your ministry changed their life. You see breakthrough in a person you'd almost given up on. Your passion reignites. 2 Timothy 1 verse 6 urges, "For this reason I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands." Tomorrow, the flame that had reduced to embers roars back to life. There's a prophetic word about vehicles for those who've been dealing with transportation issues. Your car has been breaking down repeatedly. You can't afford the repairs. You're dependent on others for rides. You've been limited in work opportunities because you lack reliable transportation. Tomorrow, a vehicle solution presents itself. Maybe someone gifts you a car. Maybe a loan gets approved you didn't think would. Maybe a mechanic fixes your car at a fraction of the expected cost. Maybe a job offers a company vehicle. However it happens, your transportation crisis resolves. And this isn't just about convenience. This is about mobility, opportunity, freedom, and dignity. Let me speak to those who've been battling suicidal thoughts, who've been in such dark places that you've questioned whether life is worth continuing. You've felt like a burden to everyone around you. You've been unable to see a future worth living. You've made plans or attempted and survived. Tomorrow is a turning point. Not necessarily that all depression vanishes, but that hope breaks through the darkness in a way it hasn't before. You connect with someone who understands. You receive help that actually helps. You feel a reason to stay that's stronger than the reasons to go. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 speaks directly to you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Tomorrow, you glimpse that future. Tomorrow, you feel that hope. Tomorrow, you choose to stay. I want to leave you with one final word before we close. Tomorrow, Sunday the 27th, is not the end of what God is doing in your life. It's the beginning. What happens tomorrow is meant to build your faith for what's coming in the weeks and months ahead. This is the first domino falling, and when it falls, it sets off a chain reaction of breakthrough after breakthrough. Don't treat tomorrow as an isolated event. Treat it as the inauguration of a new season, the opening chapter of a new book in your life story. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, I want you to say out loud, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I am ready to receive everything heaven has prepared for me." Speak that declaration with authority. Remind the spiritual realm that you are awake, you are aware, and you are expecting God to move. Now here's what I need you to do right now before you leave this video. Go down to the comments and type "blessed and ready." Not just for engagement, though that matters. Type it as your agreement with heaven that you are positioned to receive what God is sending. Type it as your declaration that you're not going to let fear, doubt, or past disappointment rob you of tomorrow's miracle. Type "blessed and ready" right now. And listen, if this message has impacted you, if you felt the Holy Spirit speaking directly to your situation, you cannot keep this to yourself. There are people in your life who need to hear this word just as desperately as you did. Your family members who are struggling. Your friends who are losing hope. Your co-workers who are on the edge of giving up. Share this video with them right now. Send it in your family group chats. Post it on your social media. Text it to that person whose name just came to your mind. You sharing this message might be the very way the angels get this word to someone whose breakthrough depends on hearing it before tomorrow arrives. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for Sacred Echoes if you haven't already. We are not just another YouTube channel throwing out random spiritual content. Every message that comes through this channel is born in prayer, confirmed by the Spirit, and released with divine timing. The videos that are coming in the next few weeks are going to build on what happens tomorrow. You're going to need the encouragement, the instruction, and the prophetic insight that's coming. So subscribe right now, and more importantly, click that notification bell. Turn on all notifications so that the moment we upload a new video, you're among the first to receive it. These messages are time sensitive. They're meant for specific moments, and if you miss them, you might miss the very word you need for the season you're entering. For those of you who've been with Sacred Echoes for a while, thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for showing up, for engaging, for allowing these messages to speak into your life. And for those of you who are brand new here, welcome to a community of believers who refuse to settle for surface-level faith. We go deep here. We expect miracles here. We believe God still speaks here. And we hold each other accountable to walk in everything heaven has promised. Tomorrow is going to shock you, but it's only the beginning. God has so much more prepared for you than you can imagine. Stay tuned. Stay expectant. Stay ready. And most importantly, stay faithful. Your breakthrough is not just coming. It's already here. It arrives tomorrow, Sunday the 27th. I'll see you in the next video with a testimony update because I know many of you are going to have stories to share about what God did. Until then, stay blessed, stay ready, and remember that you are deeply loved by a God who keeps His promises. Tomorrow, you're going to see that love in action. Tomorrow, you're going to experience that promise fulfilled. Tomorrow changes everything. God bless you, and I'll see you soon right here on Sacred Echoes.